Mrs. Gliksman, you were talking about you and your sister taking care of each other. I want to take you back a little bit to the conditions in the camp. What were your sleeping conditions like?
Well, we slept on wood and a little bit of straw mattress or whatever it was, and we had a little blanket, and it was cold. It was just terrible cold in the winter time. There was a little furnace, and it was dripping, always drip, drip, drip the whole night. The sanitary condition was just unbearable.
Could you describe them?
Well, like I said before, it was one washroom for so many girls, and the whole night they were walking, going back and forth and back and forth. And we didn't have a space where to hang something, and we had to survive. It was very hard.
And the sleeping, how close did you sleep to
one beside the other, one beside the other. I slept with a girl for 3 days. I didn't know she's dead. She died in her sleep, and next to her was a girl. She wants to have the piece of bread from her or whatever. So they gave her the bread, and she didn't tell that she's dead. After 2 days, started to smell. Everybody noticed. So we went over and we said, this was the Krankenhaus, that something's wrong with her. She sleeps, and we saw that she's dead. Didn't want to report.
What about matters of feminine hygiene?
There was none. First of all, when we came in concentration camp, apparently they gave us something in our food that we lost our period. And we had time to wash 15 minutes a person had to wash themselves, and there was hundreds of persons in, and then they made 10 minutes, and then they made 5 and 3 minutes, and then 3, because every short while it came another transport from girls. And in our concentration camp there was the doctor. There was a Jewish doctor, and from around the community, around the concentration camp, there was a few small ones, and the girls used to come to our doctor, and they came just unbearable to look how sick they were. But they never went back, because they went to Auschwitz. One ate something, what was wrong? They ate from the garbage cans. They put down, I remember, they put down like little cartons, little bags, that when we got the potatoes and the skin, the skin we should put in the bags, and they took it up and they ate it because they were hungry. We were used to it already because we were there for 2 years, and they were just transported to our camp from Hungary mostly, and they were not used to the hunger, so they used to eat from the garbage cans or whatever. Then they made an appeal. Every few days we had an appeal. They took us to look in the hair, their heads. If something was unclean, they shaved our heads. I was lucky. I had, show you a picture, I had long hair in concentration camp. So did my sister. But lots of girls, they shaved their heads, and they were punished.
Were there any pregnant women in the camps with you?
Yes, they took the kids away. There was the Jewish doctor. If he could, he made an abortion, and they had to go next day to work, if he could, save the person. But if the Germans found out, or the SS woman, they were sent to Auschwitz.
So the Jewish doctor in the camp would perform the abortion in order to save the mother?
Mm-hmm. Dr. Leichter. was his name. Very nice guy.
And he did this without the knowledge of the
Yeah.
guards.
Yeah.
Was there any kind of medical experimentation going on?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Could you tell me something about that?
They took the most beautiful girls out, and they made hysterectomy. As a matter of fact, I just saw 2 of them in Israel, and they were experimenting for something. They took them out. They didn't even know what he did to them, but later they found out. And then they took out other girls again, and they did some other tests, lots of times.
Do you have any idea what they were doing?
No. No. And we saw, for instance, a few girls coming back 3 days later, they got rashes. And they were sent back to the doctors, some experiments. A few of them were swollen also, and they were sent back. We never know. Some of them never came back also.
Did you undergo anything like that?
No.
And your sister?
No.
If someone got sick, how were they attended to?
Depends with who. If the Jewish doctor was there, and if he wasn't very sick, he tried to give you something. But if it was a time if you complained, so like the SS woman used to say, du gehst, wo du nicht mehr zurückkommst. This means you're going where you never come back, like I said before.
How often were there selection processes?
Very often.
About once a week, once a day?
Not regularly, like once a week or so, whenever they felt like.
And what could you describe that process? What would happen?
Yeah, we were forced to go outside, and wait for hours sometimes, and then or if outside you make selections, you go this side and you go on this side, or they came in and they start reading. For instance, my name was Pellman and this. You have to come. You have to stay today, not to go to work. In the beginning, we didn't know what it was. But later on, we figured out that probably they were sent away. We thought maybe they're going to another concentration camp or whatever. But later we found out that they were sent away.
Did they make random selections, and did they make selections based on how you appeared physically as well?
But who knows their mind, what he did, what he had in mind.
Are there any other particular events that stand out to you during your stay in this camp?
Well, there was a lot. There was one, we were walking to work. We said to each other, we sat in the windows, the light is on. We said, in our life, what we want is just enough sleep and just to have a piece of enough bread. This was our prayer. So one of the girls said it a little louder, and she was from Germany, so she spoke German. She says to the other girl that what she wants. So the assessment said to her, he said, I'm going to give you bread and enough to sleep. First you're going to sleep and then I give you the bread. And he took her out and we signed, he shot her right away. Now you have enough sleep. Bread you're going to get later. We couldn't talk, we couldn't do nothing. And this was considered a good concentration camp. This ours.
Were you hearing things about other such concentration camps, or what was going on?
Not when we were there. We didn't know nothing. We didn't know the day. We didn't know nothing. So we start at the end, you know.
What was the relationship like amongst the various inmates? I know you and your sister were together and were close.
Oh, we were very close, all of us, very close. And if somebody, for instance, worked in the kitchen, she had a little more food. She brought us. She gave us food, whatever they helped each other. We helped each other whatever we could. very close. We still are. You know, for instance, if I go to Israel, they always make a party. We get together as many as we can. And here in Toronto, I have a few also who are with me.
Do you remember what you used to think about when you know, before you went to sleep, or?
We think about not to wake up. Or maybe tomorrow Mashiach will come, like my father used to say. Well, we had a lot of thoughts. Sometimes we thought tomorrow will end. One time, a friend of mine received a note from the other concentration camp, from her sister, they were separated, that the help is near, the help is near. It's what she wrote, just 3 words. So we were so happy with that, you know. So what's happened, somebody found this note, and they made an appeal again, and they said that the assessment said to us, who is responsible for this note? And of course nobody wants to be responsible, nobody. So she said, if you don't say who is responsible, 50 girls going to be killed. So the girl went forwards, and she said that she received a note. She was sent away, but she risked her life.
What stands out to you as perhaps the worst moment?
Every moment was the worst. Every moment.
Is there a moment that stands out that was perhaps really miraculous? You can't believe that happened to...
A miracle life?
Yeah.
The end. The end of the war was a miracle. This was something. Because, you want me to tell you? Because we saw less assessment coming, because they used to come in very often, less and less. And then we saw were without the uniforms. And then we didn't go anymore to the factories, but we went to dig graves. And this grave's supposed to be for us. We didn't know this. And there was one guy, one assessment. He was one of the nicest guys. He told us. So of course but he said, don't worry, it's not going to happen. What he did, he brought us potatoes, he brought an apple, whatever he could, and he threw in the grave. And he said, don't you all grab it, one, because he doesn't want to be noticed that he's good to us. He brought us the news. So he told us every time, anyways, every day he came with something. And when he saw the higher rank coming near him, he started screaming, you dirty Jewish girl, you work hard or I kill you right away, I throw you here. And when he went away, he said, I had to do it. Please forgive me. And he was very nice. He gave us the news every day that the war is, and he said the graves were for us. This was something.
Who did he tell you was coming to liberate you, or who did?
He didn't say. He just told us just a few words. You're going to be liberated just very soon. As a matter of fact, about 100 foot from us was another concentration camp. They had the factory on the premises. So the girls went out. They gave us 3 days when the war finished, 3 days to do whatever we want with the Germans or whatever. But of course, we girls were happy just to be free. So 9 of the girls went out from the other concentration to come to us, and the Germans were going back. And they were still shooting, all 9 girls. The last day, they shot them. And mostly girls went out and they looked for clothes. The Russian came in, the partisans liberated us.
Could you describe that day when they came in? Describe what happened.
Oh, it's 50 years.
It's the best of your recollection.
Yeah. Well, yes and no, because I expect to go home to my parents, you know. we hang out white, whatever we had, because they told us the gates were open all of a sudden. We were free. We didn't even go to the graves to dig the graves. We were free to do whatever we want. And we started singing, and the partisans came with lots of food. And then the Russian came. And we were free. I said to the girls, if you want to go out and rope, whatever you want to do, I cannot do it. I want to stay with my sister. I'm going to cook. So everybody, one brought me a dress, one brought me a pair of shoes. And I stayed a little and cooked a little and whatever, because they brought us raw food and potatoes and meat and everything.
So you cooked
And
there
we
in the
took
camp?
over the soldiers' quarters, you know. They had kitchens and everything there.
Did you have good sleeping accommodations there?
Not the first a couple of days, but then we had, they brought mattresses, plenty of everything. And then we went home, and we expected our parents to be home, and I said, I'm going to take home a suitcase with potatoes in case they don't have enough food. I was with my sister-in-law together in a concentration camp, and we promised each other, if my brother would live, she's going to marry him. I was very close with her. And she said, if her brother would live, I will marry him. Her brother was alive, and I did marry him. This was my husband, but my brother wasn't. So going home, and coming home, there was people who came before us. They were by every train. They waited and see if somebody close came. And I said, I'm going home to my parents. I'm going home to my parents. He said, don't go. There's nobody there. This was the tragedy. That's why I said was happy and unhappy. Couldn't believe it. Because we didn't know nothing in the concentration camp. And we stayed there a few days, like I said, and then we went away. And then I met my husband.
Where did you go after you went?
Oh, yeah. What's happened is I stayed in Sosnovitz, and I had a relative in Katowice. That's not far from. They found out that I'm alive. So my cousin came for me. And by this time I met my husband. And my sister-in-law was with me also. And so they took me to Katowice. And they said, they're not going to let me go. I have to stay with them together. Because me and my sister are the only one left from my family. And we stayed with them together. We went to Kudava.
Where is that?
This is close border to Germany. And I have to tell you what's happened there, Kudava. My late husband came with my sister-in-law to Kudava after us. He told us a story that he had one of the guys who hit him so much in concentration camp. He went through 12 concentration camps. That he said to him, if I'm going to live, he was a very bad, worse than the salesman. If I'm going to live, I'm going to pay you back. And he survived, and we were going in Kudava, in the street, and he recognized him. He went over to a policeman. He told him the story. And the policeman said, let's walk after him. He walked after him, and he said, are you sure it's him? He said, yes. He took him into jail, and next day, they put a lineup from 8 people. And he had a friend who was there too in Kudava. He was with him concentration camp. He said, his name was Mela Habramchik, come with me, and we both going to identify him. And he went, and they identified this guy, that he was so bad. He was unbearable. He killed any second person he saw. So the police said to him, you have to be in jail. He had a girlfriend. This girlfriend came the same evening to us because we were supposed the same night to go to the border, through the border. Anyways, she brought a letter that my husband and the friend should sign that he made a mistake. She begged him, please do me a favor and this and this. We were afraid that we were not allowed to go to the border legally, so we were afraid that that we would be able to go to the legally through. So my husband said, give me the letter, and soon I pass the border, I sign it, and I send back with the guy who takes us through the border. So when we passed the border, he tore up the letter, the signature, and then we found out that they killed him.
How did that feel?
It feels like a drop in the water, in an ocean. Yeah.
When did you marry your first husband?
In 1947.
What was his name?
Philip Silverstein.
And where did you meet him?
Like I said, through his sister, we gave Kieskaf to St. Jewish, that if he's going to live, I'm going to marry him. And he found out that she's alive, and he came looking for her. So, and then she says, this is your wife. He said, what? He says, yes, I promise. And then we got married.
Just to back up a little bit, what did you do between the 2 years, between the liberation and time?
I stayed with my family. Like from Katowice, we went to Kudawa, and then we went to Germany.
And what did you do there?
Nothing special. Nothing. I went to school. I learned to sew, and I learned Hebrew. Yeah, and I stayed with my family. We waited to go away from Germany because we couldn't stay in Germany. We stayed in Landsberg. We lived. And they survived. My auntie and 4 of her children survived because they were in Russia. So
now this was an aunt on whose side of the family?
we were related double. Her mother's sister was my grandmother, and her husband was my father's brother. So our family was a big family. So we remarried in the family. So I stayed with him. And one of his sons was the president from the whole district. And the other one, that's my cousins, the other one was Oberrabbiner, the head rabbi from the district, from this district. Yeah.
Where did you go after? When did you come to this country?
From Landsberg, I married my husband.
Did you marry him there?
Yeah.
What was your wedding like?
But no, wedding. I didn't even have money for a dress. I borrowed a dress, and we didn't have a minute to the wedding. Somebody went in the street, a friend, and there was in Munich, on Mailstrasse, there was the most street where the Jewish people, the newcomers, were there. So he gathered 10 people, because it has to be a minyan for 10 men, and he brought them up to the rabbi, and that was it. This was our wedding.
Where did you go then? What did you do after you got married?
Well, I had a little problem with the money from Germany, because we stayed a little longer. What's happened is, like I mentioned before, my cousin was the president from the district, and the Holocaust people used to get a little money, and he came to me. He said to me, I should sign a paper. We're going to get some money, and I had to be registered in Landsberg that I lived. Then we moved to Munich, and he wants to register me over there too, so I get more clothing, more food. So I said, how can I do this? I never did something wrong in my life. He said, I'm the president. What are you afraid? So I did it. I signed it. Anyways, my sister-in-law signed it for 3.
Your sister-in-law being
For
his
3
sister?
names. 3 names. So and she left. She signed for 3 persons, and she left. So they came in my house and they said to me that they're looking for Manja Silverstein. And I said she left, and they said you are Manja Silverstein. So finally one day she sent me she went to America. To Canada. She sent me a outfit for my little girl. I had a little girl in Germany. My older daughter was born there. So I went to the police to show him that my sister-in-law sent me this from America for my daughter. She's in America. So they took me to jail, and they said to me I should write my name, and I did write my name. And about 8 Germans stayed behind me, and I said, I'm not Manja Silverstein. How can I be? It means that I married my husband. My husband is my brother. So they said to me, bei euch Juden kann alles passieren. This means by you Jews, everything can happen. I stayed in jail for 8 days because of this, and then they got me out.
How did you get out?
They took somebody, I think a lawyer or somebody, to show that I'm not. So we left Germany. And I didn't get any money from Germany, not a penny. I came here to Canada. I didn't know what's going on with me. So I applied for the health insurance and everything. And they sent me that I was registered on 2 places and I cannot get any money. I took lawyers here and in the States and in Israel, and it cost me a fortune already, and I can't get any penny, not at all.
When you talk about money, do you mean restitution money?
That's right, yeah, and I don't get any money. But I survived, I'm a survivor.
Going back to when you were in Germany, when did you come to Canada?
1952, February the 12th, 1952.
And how did you make your decision to come to Canada?
Because my husband had family here.
Family who had survived the war?
No, first of all, his sister were here, my sister-in-law, and he had aunts and uncles before the war, which came shortly before the war. So we decided to come here with my daughter, she was 2 years old. She was born Christmas Day, so she was 2 years old.
And what is her name?
Sandy.
So you came over to Canada with your husband and your baby?
That's right, yeah.
And where did you settle here in Canada?
Which mean?
Where did you come to Toronto?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what did you do when you arrived here?
I didn't do nothing. I had a little girl. My husband started working.
As what?
As a painter. He was a painter from the old country. And the family came, but they were very poor people. They couldn't help us too much. And we came with, we borrowed on the ship because I was pregnant. But I was pregnant. We borrowed $10 from a friend of ours. This was our everything what we possessed. So I came to Canada with borrowed $10. And 3 weeks later, a friend who borrowed the $10 came to visit us. And I saw him through the window. I was afraid he comes for the $10. So I closed the door and I didn't want to open. I was afraid because I didn't have the $10 to give him back.
Where did you live?
First, we lived on Major Street. We lived in one room, and it was also hard because with a child in this time, they didn't were too happy to have a kid in the house. We had one room and one bed and a little boiler, a little stuff. And that's all what we had.
I'm just going to stop